Some of you may feel like you've been here before, and some of you may be having deja vu, because you are. Today, we're taking a look at the Almordor WS SR-630, the bigger and longer version of the last rack-mounted case you'll ever need. Rather than showing you the whole case, I want to show you what's different with the 630 as compared to the 500, because essentially the basis of both of the cases are the same. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll link to our video with the WS SR-500 down below so you can get to grips with all of the features of this case. But again, this is bigger, so it does a few things a bit better. What are they? First things first, the 500 only had 3 drive bays in total, and one was a 2.5-inch drive bay and 2 3.5-inch drive bays, but this has 8. This also has a full backplane, which will allow you to install your spinning rust drives on these sleds and then slide them in, and they have full connectivity. You can also do 2.5-inch drives on these sleds using the holes for the 2.5-inch drives here. You don't have to worry about countersunk screws because it comes with the screws for all the drives you would ever need to use in this case. As a bit of an example, I've got this SSD just to show you guys how it goes in. Put it on the sled, push the drive in, and you're good to go. How does this connect to your motherboard though? Well, if you were to be using all 8 of these, you will need to have 8 SATA ports available on your board or a separate controller card. This is a little bit strange considering the quality of this case. If it had a mini SAS connector, it would have made a lot more sense. I don't like it, I'll be honest with you, I really don't like that, but I mean, take it or leave it, you don't have to use it. They're all labeled, which is kind of nice though, so it all correlates to whatever slot it's plugged into. So, you know, if you want to just plug one in, you can, and you're not going to be confused. You're not going to have to try 8 different combinations for it to work. The WS630 still uses the fan module box. It's exactly the same one that we saw on the 500, and they are interchangeable between them. Not that you'd really need to do that at all, but you know, if you really wanted to, you could. So that's the same. What else is different though? Well, the cooling solution for the rest of the case is what makes this one stand out. On the 500, we had this removable fan bracket, and it has different offsets so you can change whatever those are. On the 630 though, it's gone one step further. The 500 supported up to a 240mm liquid cooler or a 240mm radiator or 2 120mm fans. This allows you to install, wait for it, exactly what you guys have been waiting for, a 360mm cooler, which is what I will be doing when we build in this case. Because yes, I'm going to be building something in this, and it's going to be absolutely freaking cool. Whether it happens in this video or another video, we'll just have to wait. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in this video though. The other thing is, when you're using this bracket, you can change the offset of the bracket. So you've got 2 positions here. You've got the standard position, and then you've got the offset position, which will allow for that radiator install. So we'll put it back into that position. And what this does is not only will allow you to install a radiator here in this section here, it'll also draw air in through the front to cool any drives that you've got, and then push it out through the back of the case. You got to remember, guys, this is a workstation case, but really it's a rack mount case. And when you're working with rack mounted enclosures, you have a hot side of the rack and you have a cold side of the rack. The cold side is typically the front and the hot side is the back. So when this is in a data center, when you're walking around the front, it'll always be much cooler than if you're walking around the back, because every aisle in a data center has a hot aisle and a cold aisle. I hope this makes sense to you guys. Other than the radiator support and the depth of the case, it is very much the same as the WS500 that we checked out about 2 months ago. Again, link in the description if you want to check that out. It also has these feet that come out in the workstation or tower configuration, and it also has this removable top panel in case you wanted to put rack rails on the enclosure to rack mount it. Now, the only issue I'm having with this case and rack mounting it at the moment is I don't know what rack rails go on here. I asked Almordor to point me in the right direction, but they haven't been able to help with that for some odd reason. But we'll figure it out, and maybe we'll just put another set of rack rails, or I'll make some adapters and just do it that way. All the clever people out there would have already figured this out, that I'm building a machine with this for some AI things that I think you guys might find interesting, and I'm gonna go full AI top because I have all of the AI top stuff now. So this is even an AI top power supply. This is the Gigabyte AI top ultra durable platinum 1600 watt power supply. This thing is pretty nuts, pretty unnecessary, but for the use case of what we're going to be doing with this system when it's completely built, I would say that this is more than required. We've even got a 15 amp power connector on here, which I'll show you guys a little trick so we can get around that. Okay, ladies and gents, time to put the motherboard in. This is the TRX50 AI top. We did a video covering this board not too long ago, and I've decided to go with the Threadripper 7970X. This is the 32 core chip. I was going to go for the 64 core chip, but at present that is in my editing PC and I don't feel like disassembling that. What a problem to have, right? I won't disassemble my editing PC because it's got the bigger chip in it. What? I can't help myself. So yeah, this is the board we're going to be using. I've only got 128 gigs of RAM here because, to be honest, RDIMM memory is kind of hard to come by, and I'm hoping this RDIMM that I've got in here actually works because I think it may be a little bit picky. This memory is not rated for Threadripper, it's rated for Sapphire Rapids, but we'll see what happens, we'll see what happens. We'll get all of this buttoned up. I've also got some AI top M.2 drives. Yeah, like this thing is like full AI top, and I mean, that's kind of the point of why I wanted to save this build for until now, because it took a while to get all this AI top stuff sorted out. But this is going to be really fun, and this will be a Linux machine, ladies and gents, because that's what this is all about, Linux. We don't need to know how this is going to game, because if I was to game on this, you know it would be pretty nuts, but yeah, that's not the point. It's just supposed to be a pretty mid-range, this sounds insane to say, but a mid-range machine for AI. Because for real AI stuff, yeah, it's a lot more high-end than this. We're only doing 2 GPUs in this machine here, and we've got some very special GPUs going in, which I'll show in a moment. For cooling, I've decided to go with a Deepcool LH720 cooler because it has Threadripper support, as well as some Lee P28 fans. They're non-RGB, and they're 28mm thick, which are a little bit thicker than standard 25mm fans, and also a single cable. I want to make this as clean as possible. White is not by choice, it's basically because what I had at the time, and you know, got to make it work. But to install this, what you want to do is you want to feed your cooler through first, like all of the tubes, and then you want to slide the bracket and the cables through. Right. Okay, cables, and then this is the beauty of it all. You kind of maneuver it like this, give it a tap, and it should go in with no issues whatsoever. I mean, it's just awkward because I'm filming, so it makes it a little bit more difficult, but yeah, there you go. The cooling is in. And I think the white kind of suits it. Not that you would ever see inside of this system, but trigger warning for people who are gonna get triggered by this, but there's this annoying RGB cable on this cooler, and it's proprietary and it's never gonna get used, so bye-bye. Usually I wouldn't do something like this, but this is a new thermal paste brand from Thermal Grizzly called Polartherm. It's meant to be a more affordable thermal paste, but because I've used this cooler a million times, and because the cold plate, even though it does cover most of the IHS of the Threadripper chip, I'm gonna apply the thermal paste to the cooler itself and then spread it out. And I wanna show you guys just a little bit of a technique here. Take it however you like it, but I'm gonna put on a whole bunch of thermal paste here. And then the Polartherm thermal paste comes with a little spatula, And we're just going to paint it out across the cold plate of this. Now I'm going to put more thermal paste on here just to show you guys how this works. This is definitely not the most accurate way of doing this, but you know, I'm filming, so you know, I'm trying to get it as nice as possible on camera. And I'm just going to apply this to most of the cold plate, because when it comes time to put this on the massive IHS of the Threadripper, I want there to be as best coverage as possible. So it looks as though my years of experience may have made it so I did put just enough thermal paste on this cold plate after all. I'm going to apply a little bit more than I should, because too little is a problem, too much is okay. It's got a nice consistency. It reminds me a little bit of Noctua's NTH1. All right, that's going to be just fine. It's absolutely mutilated, but this is going to give us great coverage for this massive IHS. Hopefully everyone's triggering is now done and we've finished triggering people for the day, but we'll get this cooler installed properly now and we can move on to all of the fun stuff. When I saw these AI top cards at Computex, I fell in love. I absolutely love this design. This is the Gigabyte RTX 4070 Ti Super AI top, and it is going in this system. However, I don't have one of these. I have two going in here. I wish I had four, but you know, two will have to do for this video. What a problem to have. Put the second one in. I guess you would have figured it out already that this is just going to be one of the coolest looking systems that you'll never ever look at. Because this Gigabyte power supply is designed for AI workloads and multiple GPU setups, it's a 15 amp power supply, and in Australia, our power is typically not 15 amp. Well, at least not with the wall sockets. So I had to go out and buy this cable. This is what the Australian power socket looks like if you've never seen it before. They use this in a bunch of other countries too, but mainly Australia and New Zealand. Also in China, believe it or not, we have the same plug. And the ground pin, which is this one here, is usually much thicker and longer on 15 amp plugs for Australian use. And this one is a 10 amp one and it works just fine. I have tested this system already off camera and there are a few takeaways from testing. First of all, the thermals are really good with this cooler and it works just fine. Secondly, because I don't have a Threadripper Pro, not all of the memory channels will work on the TRX 50 AI top. It only detects 64 gigs of RAM, even though I've got 8 modules installed. And this is a limitation with TRX 50 and a Threadripper non-Pro CPU. Now, if it had a Threadripper Pro CPU, all of the memory channels would be working without an issue. What this means is now I have to go and source some more high capacity RDIMM modules. So my idea for this video kind of fell flat with what I wanted to do, but you know, that's just how it goes sometimes with making videos. The bonus from all this is I get to spend more time showing you guys how the Gigabyte AI top utility works. Again, this is not a sponsored video. Gigabyte sent us all of this AI top stuff because I saw it at Computex and I was begging them because I really wanted to use this and see what the deal was on my own, with it being outside of a controlled environment like a show floor at Computex. And it's taken a while to get everything, but we've finally got it all. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming the second that I get some more high capacity memory. But this video is not really about the system, is it? It's about this new Almordor WS SR-630. What do you guys think of this case? The thing that I like about this case, and the takeaway that I had from the 500, was the build quality for these cases is so good that it is up there with HP and Dell and OEM vendors for servers. So yeah, I really, really like this case. Again, when it comes to pricing with something like this, I would love to tell you how much these cost, but the problem is, I don't know. Almordor doesn't know how much these cost, and availability is not there. I don't know where these are available. I know they exist, obviously, because I have 2 of these cases, but I would love to give you guys more information on this case, but unfortunately, I don't even think Almordor knows what their market is for this. So let's create a bit of, what's the word, like hype? Because home labbers out there who want a case like this, they want a case like this, right? I am just fortunate enough that I saw this in person and I reached out and said, hey, you know, like we'd love to check this out, but there's no point us checking this stuff out if you can't buy it. And that's the main thing, because I can show you guys the coolest stuff on earth, but I'll never be able to hear what you guys get up to with it if you can't get it yourself. That makes me a little bit disappointed because we're all enthusiasts here and I want to hear your guys' stories as well. But yeah, let us know what you think of the 630. I love it. It's really, really good. I would almost go as far as saying that I really won't use the storage capabilities of this case. The main reason why I like this better than the 500 is because it's got 360mm liquid cooler compatibility, whereas the other one only had 240. And I just wish the 500 had 360mm cooling compatibility. The truth is, I could probably modify it to do it anyway. Let us know if that's something you want to see. And as far as all this AI top stuff, 64 gigs for this workload is not enough. The GPU power is more than plenty for what I want to do with it. But yeah, I need to source some more memory. I had a feeling that it wasn't going to work with 8 modules, but it is what it is. We'll come back to this very, very soon. Like I said, the moment that I get more RAM, we're going to dive in with Linux on this with top utility. And I'm going to show you how you can do it all at home on your own if you have heaps of cash to burn. Because I think even the CPU in this is just ridiculously expensive. The board's expensive too. This whole thing is just insane. I can't believe, if I'm being honest, that I'm in a position to do this as a job and I get to play with this stuff, because to me this is still freaking insane. I can't believe this is sitting here right now.